Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to the US once again. We're going to go back to the state of Maine in the northeastern part of the country, New England of course, and we're doing my third visit to Allagash Brewing Company. So for this one we're going to have a taste of one of the beers from their Cool Ship series, and I think this one's going to be quite interesting. So for this one we're having a taste of the Haunted House. It's listed as a kind of Belgian style ale and it comes in at 6.6%, but from what I understand, I'm not sure whether to expect a sort of Belgian stout because it does have some German hops in it and also has some Chinook as well, which is a really kind of piney American hop. So I'm really interested just to see how this one kind of turns out because it does seem to be one of the more unusual ones that they do. So looking forward to this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Allagash before. No doubt there will be some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course uses a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the American beers that I've reviewed for you, and that's constantly being added to. And please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Allagash Brewing Company then. So Allagash were founded by Rob Todd back in 1995 and they're based in Portland in Maine, as I was telling you before. But Rob had worked in a number of breweries before founding Allagash, and at that time he realised that Belgian style beers and just Belgian brewing in general, Belgian style brewing in America was really quite uncommon, and it was very difficult for them to come across Belgian style beers that were actually brewed over there. You could get the Belgian imports of course fairly easily, but he decided as a result of this to focus on Belgian style beer, which is pretty cool actually. There's not too many breweries do that there even now with the craft beer boom. But he established a small 15-barrel brewery and began brewing the Allagash White in the summer of 1995, and it proved to be a big hit. So in their regular kind of Belgian style beer range that they have, they've got the white, the saison, the black, which you've seen me review before. That's a really interesting Belgian style stout. They've also got the Tripel, the House, the Dubel, and also the Curio as well. And they've also expanded their range since then as well. So they've got the Tribute series, which are brewed to commemorate local organisations and things like this, and they also have the Cool Ship series, of which this one is a member. And apparently this series uses an old method, an old Belgian method of spontaneous fermentation, and they also produce a number of cask-only beers as well. But they are a fairly prolific brewery. They are one of the bigger operations in New England these days from what I understand. Like I said, 17 states, so they must have a fair kind of production capacity to be able to cater for that. But this was another one of course that my parents brought back with them on their recent trip over to New England. They brought me back two this time, but they have brought me an Allagash beer before, and I'm sure when they got me that one they were actually down in Florida, so that gives you some idea of how widely distributed these beers are. It's certainly on the east kind of coast of America, maybe up into Canada as well, who knows. But an interesting beer this one. As I say, I'm not quite sure exactly what to expect from this one. It comes in at 6.6%. I know it's going to be some sort of dark beer, and it's hopped with Tecknang and Sats. Tecknang of course is from Germany, Sats of course is from the Czech Republic, and Chinook of course is an American hop, and it's roasted barley and Black Prince in the malt base in this one as well. So it should be a really interesting beer. As I always say though, if you want to read more about the brewery itself, go and check out the brewery website, which you'll find in the description below. So yeah, like I mentioned, this one is part of the Cool Ship series. Label artwork on this one is quite simple but quite tasteful. There again is the Allagash Brewing Company bottle cap, and yeah, it should be really, really nice. So without further ado, let's get it out and get on with the tasting then. Nice bit of smoky opening there, and we'll get it out and into the glass. So yeah, as you would kind of expect from what it says on the bottle, this one's poured a nice kind of, I would say a sort of ebony rosewood. If I hold it up to the light, it doesn't even actually have a kind of ruby edge to it or anything like that. There's a solid finger and a bit of a frothy, quite light beigey tan head on this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of the head there. But overall it looks like a really quite nice beer. You know, it looks exactly pretty much as you'd expect from what they describe as a hoppy dark ale, but I think it's fair to say more of a kind of ebony colour this one than rosewood, definitely. So yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Yeah, so with this one, it comes across as being nice and bready. That'll be the Belgian yeast in this one, of course. You always get those kind of doughy, bready, yeasty characters. You can definitely get that in this. It's leaning a little bit towards kind of brown bread, or kind of, I don't know if you say German pumpernickel or something like that. It's got that kind of almost sweet German kind of rye bread character to it, which is quite interesting actually. But there's definitely some brown sugars in there. You can smell a little bit of a roasted black malt in there, but that's very minimal. It's more about the brown sugars, I would say. Definitely some nice kind of brown sugary sweetness to this one. And there's a little bit of hoppiness. You can smell there's a wee bit of earthiness in there, and you can smell a little bit of the red fruity character as well, which will be coming from the Chinook. Normally in a lighter beer, the Chinook would give you a lot of pine resin and a lot of sort of dark grapefruity characters in this one, but it seems to be quite mild in this. You're getting more of the German noble hop qualities. As I say, you're getting that slightly sweet earthiness, and you can pick up that kind of, if you're used to German hops, and the Satz hop as well kind of fits into a similar category, you can really pick up that nice sort of grassy character. It's definitely got that sort of Satz German noble hop quality to it, which is interesting. When you sugar the beer up, you can actually pick up a little bit of that fruitiness that I was talking about from the Chinook. There's a wee bit of the grapefruity note comes out of it. So as I always say, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in. But we're going to have a go at this one now. So this one is the Haunted House, part of the Cool Ship series from Allagash Brewing Company up in Portland in Maine in New England. Let's get stuck into this beer. Once again, thank you to my parents for bringing this one back for me. Slàinte, skål. Yeah, I mean, it's quite a nice beer, that. What I would say right off, my first impression of it is, the hoppy table beer that I reviewed for you in the last video, I was really quite impressed with that. I really quite liked that. It was a nice sort of straight up sessionable beer. This one's nice, and I would say, but you know, when it comes to a Belgian beer, you do expect it maybe just to be a little bit more complex than this. So this is quite an interesting, it's quite an interesting sort of take, this one, because it is almost a little bit more like a table beer. 6.6% though, right enough. It's maybe pushing the boundaries of the ABV for that, but it definitely has this Belgian quality to it, but it's not quite as complex as you're normally used to. So it's definitely posing some kind of interesting questions, this beer, and as a beer reviewer, you know, that's kind of what you want. But yeah, I like this one again. I think, if I remember rightly, I've commented quite a bit on this with the Allagash beers, on the ones that I've reviewed anyway. They're not so punchy in any one regard. It's all about how the flavours kind of blend together. And again, this one is kind of doing that. As you progress further and further into the flavour of this, you can feel the sort of roasty black malt qualities just pushing their way out, which is quite nice. You can just feel as the beer mellows out a little bit, that comes in there. It starts off quite sweet. You get this kind of brown bready character that just blankets the middle of your palate. You can feel a little bit of that sort of doughy bready kind of character from the Belgian yeast as well. Some nice sweet caramelly notes in the middle of the palate, a little bit of biscuity character as well, but everything just goes together really nicely in that sort of malt yeasty base that you have in the middle of your palate. It's really quite well done, this beer, just in terms of how everything goes together. And the way the hops come out in this is really nice as well. It just complements the other flavours really quite well. So in the back corners of the palate, you've got that nice sort of almost sweet earthiness, and that of course is the Satz and the Tettnang hops coming out of this. These two hops have always got this very just really nice and subtle earthiness to them, and it becomes a little bit sweet. There's a little bit of herbal quality in there as well. You can just feel that, but as you come further forward along the ties of your palate, you can feel that nice floral aromatic, that sort of noble floral character in there, but on top of it you've got that kind of quite pungent's not the word, that quite prominent piney resin in there that gives you that real kind of big bitterness. And as you go round the front curve of the palate again, that's where you get that kind of noble grassy quality, and everything just goes together really nicely in this one, I have to say that. But yeah, it's certainly, everything in this beer, it just kind of blends together really well. And as I say, the thing that's interesting about it is how the roasty black characters just push their way out a little bit later on, because normally you'd get it would be quite, a Belgian beer like this would be quite sweet, if that makes sense. It would actually be quite sweet as you progress further into the aftertaste, but that roasty kind of black malt thing, it's almost like, if you think of these Belgian IPAs that you get, this one is a little bit kind of like a Belgian black IPA, if that makes sense. It's like a Belgian style IPA that they've just put a little bit of kind of roasted malt in. I think that's a good way to kind of describe this one. Of course, it's not as complex as some of these beers that you can come across, but I would certainly say it is really nice. But yeah, it's certainly, I would say, you know, in honesty, I probably prefer, the best beer I've had from these guys, I would say, so far, is the black. But when they're doing things like this, and their other beers, it's enough to keep you interested. And I do like that they've kind of stuck to this idea of using Belgian yeasts for their brewing and things. It really does kind of show commitment to the cause, if you like. And I just like how they can just play around with these different things. It's really refreshing. It's just a bit of a change of pace. In terms of the fruity side of this beer then, as I always say, if you just go behind the front curve of your palate, that's where you get that little oily bubble where these nice fruity esters kind of come out of the beer. So with this one, there's a little bit of grapefruit there, there's some kind of red fruity esters as well coming out, there's a little bit of candied fruit. I'd say it reminds me a little bit of these Haribo, the hearts in the Haribo Star Mix. It's got that sort of candied red fruit to it. There's maybe a little bit of a kind of strawberry-ish note or something like that as well, and you can feel a little bit of that darker grapefruit too. And that builds a good bridge with the sort of the kind of stronger piney resin flavours that I was talking about from the hops. But as I say, everything goes together quite well. The sort of earthy character, the slightly sweet earthy character that this one has, that builds a good bridge with some of the, pardon me, some of the sort of roasty bitter qualities that are in the malt base of this beer. But yeah, that's really quite nice actually. So in terms of the mouthfeel then, I think mid-bodied is quite a good way to describe this one. The carbonation is quite soft. It's actually, that's a good point about this beer. The carbonation on this one isn't quite as prominent as you'll get in some Belgian beers. I always find that some Belgian beers can just be a little bit over-carbonated, but they've got this one quite smooth. You can feel a little bit of a difference in the water with this one. The water in this, it is a little bit more minerally, if that makes sense. I think the water in this is maybe a little bit harder than you'd normally expect in a Belgian beer, because it does have that kind of clean feel to it, and I do like that. I love that about Icelandic beers, for example, and New Zealand beers as well, where you've just got this really clean water. You do get it in some of the Scottish things as well, so that's an interesting point about this one. There's a good balance between the roasty side of this beer, the roasty bitter side of the beer in the malt base, and the sweeter side of things. The hops have got a nice bitterness. There is a little bit of that smoothness there as well from the Sats and the Teknang hop, and there's just a little bit of juicy fruity character as well. But overall, it's a really well balanced beer, and I think the best way to kind of describe this one is if you think of a Belgian style IPA, the sort of Belgian brewed beers with these American hops. This one's just like a black IPA version of that, but they've certainly done a nice job of it, and I would like to see them experiment with that a little bit more and try different hops and things. It's a nice beer. So hopefully it's one. I think this is a seasonal beer or a limited edition or something like this from what I gathered on the website, but it would be cool to see them experiment with this a little bit more, because they did a very solid job with this. One thing I would actually like to see from this brewery as well is if they could try and brew a sort of Belgian style Scotch ale as well. When they're a Belgian specialist brewery, it would be cool to see if they can do that, and I think that would be a really interesting experiment for them. So hopefully that's something we see from Allagash in the future. But yeah, if you like your Belgian style IPAs and you like black IPAs, go into this one with an open mind and just see what you think, because I think it lies somewhere in the middle of those two. But yeah, a really interesting beer, the Haunted House from Allagash Brewing Company in Portland in Maine. I'm glad I got to try this one, so once again, thank you to my parents, and thank you to you guys for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know your favourite beers from Allagash Brewing, and of course do let me know some other beers from the state of Maine that I should be having a look at, and some of the other breweries and things like that as well. But until the next time, it's Slange Juice now, and I will catch you guys very soon. All the links and stuff are in the description below. This was the Haunted House, a 6.66% Hail Satan, of course, 6.66% sort of Belgian style black IPA kind of thing. Really interesting beer this, so have a go at it. Until the next time, it's Slange Juice now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Cheers.